according to Robert Murray, the San Francisco Giants are acquiring Rafael Devers from the Red Sox in a compensation package that includes Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, and more, according to sources. See why, as I read that, and we're seeing it for the first time live right here tonight, I have chills. I mean, this dude, the
Rafael Devers,
the franchise guy. They backed up the truck for him, right? They let Mookie get away. This was going to be the guy that was going to join the greats, the all-timers, the Williams, the Yazes. He's going to San Francisco.
This was the guy that you assumed at some point in Boston he could potentially have his number up in the rafters. This is a guy who's following up David Ortiz, the BS. He was a third baseman, ended up becoming a DH. All of a sudden, spring training comes around, and the energy completely shifts of what Rafael Devers' place with the organization is. There ended up being some pushback from the team and from Rafi, and it seems like warmer heads prevailed, and things had to happen to make a move right here. But this is huge news.
Oh, my gosh. Started out the season in miserable shape, 0 for 21 with 15 strikeouts. But those numbers are legit. He was likely headed to Atlanta as an all-star with the Red Sox. So it looks like the Red Sox are ready to go full throttle with the young dudes, right? They've got the holy grail. The trio is there. They're all going to play. It looks like one of the kids is going to play third base for the next 10 years now.
Right.
Alex Bregman is sitting on the IL right now. There has to be a little gleam in his eye. He can opt out after a year.
You would assume that this opens up so many questions for me. First, I see Yankees fans all over the country celebrating right now. I think of Alex Bregman saying, you know what? Maybe this will be my position moving forward for the future. His time with the Red Sox has been unbelievable other than the injury. He'll be able to lock in at third base and remove a lot of the drama. Marcelo Meyer, for right now, he's been playing a really good third base. From the game yesterday, looked solid at third base. Maybe he'll be able to lock in there for the rest of the season. And then you get away from the drama that unfortunately did follow this situation with Rafael Devers. He has been absolutely unbelievable with the bat since he has been there in Boston. But this year, it was so much pushback back and forth that you do come up with concerns about how that impacted the team, how that impacted the relationship with the manager, with his teammates, and not being as flexible as the team would have hoped he was going to be with the contract that he had earned with the organization. So I feel like they've made the decision. They're going to move past that, hopefully try to continue to get the team better. And I think you go ahead and go after Alex Bregman right now. You don't even wait to the offseason. Go and get him now.
I mean, there might have been some insiders who were in on this, but for you and I sitting here paying close attention to the sport as we do, this fell out of the sky on this Father's Day Sunday. Let's talk about it from the Giants' standpoint.
Right.
They've played really well this year. They got Matt Chapman dinged up right now. Devers is going to play third base. When Chapman comes back, they'll figure it out. They've been looking for a power bat. I mean, I can't think of one better than this dude as far as a run producer. And they're serious about trying to run down the Dodgers this year. The Dodgers have shown some vulnerability, and San Francisco's right on their heels.
When I think of this move, I say, man, every other team has to be like, man, I wonder, we didn't know he was available. We could have put together a package. This could have become a huge sweepstakes, because I had a feeling after spring training, when all of this drama started to unfold, it was a big decision to make. Will the Red Sox be willing to part ways with Rafael Devers in hopes of making their team better? And if they do open that up, teams are going to go crazy chomping at the bit, because you cannot find a better bat in the game that is available right now. I mean, you're getting Rafael Devers from a winning team right now who is in playoff contention. Normally, these kind of trades do not happen. This is huge news.
No, how about Buster Posey pushing the chips in?
I'm curious, do not find the Giants in the same situation when Matt Chapman comes back. Do not have Matt Chapman come back, and then all of a sudden is Rafael Devers going to be okay moving the first or DHing or playing third base? How does this play out?
I think Buster Posey let the Red Sox rip the bandage off the "you're not a third baseman anymore every day" thing on Devers, and he's going to DH. He's going to play third base. This is a massive deal. Rafael Devers traded to the Giants. Who knew that Father's Day 2025 would bring us such a big deal? And in 8.5 years in Boston, a 3-time All-Star, a guy that was headed for the Mount Rushmore. Easy for me to say of the franchise. I'm still tongue-tied over it. CY and I, minds blown collectively over this trade. A bunch of pitching going to Boston. The million-dollar question is, who wins, right? We want to score these immediately. Jared Carrabis is an MLB Network contributor, also hosts a couple of podcasts, Baseball is Dead, and his Red Sox pod, Section 10. Jared, we're dying to know. Red Sox Nation, yay or down? What do they think of this deal?
The biggest thumbs down, man. What is going on, man? Like, it feels like a bomb went off. Like, before this trade broke, I got a message about it, a couple of messages being like, something's about to go down. There's a little bit of commotion going on. And then I hear it's about Rafi, and I'm like, well, this type of stuff probably gets talked about behind the scenes all the time. So I didn't put a ton of stock in it to coming to fruition. So then we get like the breaking news out of nowhere. We were kind of on high alert because then I got told, there's a very high chance this is going down. But we're like, they're not going to trade Rafi. They just swept the Yankees. Rafi just homered today. They just got back over 500. You've been trying to salvage this season. You finally get there, and then you trade Rafael Devers. Something to me that we're not hearing the whole story here.
Yeah, it was so much noise surrounding the drama with Rafael Devers, but credit to him, he found a way to block out that noise and still went out there and produced on a regular basis. So I'm very curious, do you feel that the inflexibility that he showed up to this point of changing positions played in the decision for the Red Sox to make the move?
It had to. This just feels almost like a reaction to this personal beef that was brewing between Craig Breslow and Rafael Devers. Because when you come into spring training, you spring it on him that, hey, you're moving off third base. We just signed Alex Bregman 2 weeks ago. There was talk that he was going to be the second baseman. He was not going to be the second baseman. They brought him here to play third. They they blindsided Rafi. I think both sides were at fault there. I think Rafi could have handled it better. The Red Sox could have communicated better. But he moves to DH after a little conversation with Alex Cora. Let's calm him down. You're going to love DH. Big Poppy was great at it. You'll be great at it too. Started off real slow the first few weeks of the season. Next thing you know, he's a top 5 hitter in the American League. Like, he was dominating DH. Then Bregman goes down, and it's like, I don't even know that we can approach Rafi about playing third. Like, we kind of ticked him off with, the whole moving to first base thing after Casas and moving to DH because Bregman's here. It was just this big mess where a lot of feelings got hurt. But to me, it never felt like it was going to come to this. It never felt like this is such an unsalvageable relationship where Rafael Devers needs to be traded to the San Francisco Giants. To me, I don't have an excuse for it other than the only thing that would kind of make me think of it differently is if Rafi demanded a trade. If it was really that broken. And I had reached out to some reporters in the know. One reporter was like, I think he might have asked out. And then I talked to a former teammate of Rafi's, and he was like, I don't think that that's true. So there's a lot of conflicting reports here in regards to, did Rafi ask for this? Did he want this? I don't know for sure.
Well, is that, to go back, you said one thing that really stood out to me, and is that after the Bregman injury, you felt like the team couldn't go to Rafi at that point. Do you think that's a problem in itself, that a team feels intimidated to go after a player to try to make an adjustment that's better for the team?
See why it was a super uncomfortable situation as a fan, as an onlooker, to be like, here we go. Casas is out for the year. Do you want to play first? No? All right. Sorry for asking. And then Bregman has the quad injury. And it's like, well, you did play third base. You were a third baseman 2 months ago. I feel like we should be comfortable enough to ask you to play third base. But publicly, Alex Cora saying, we're not even going to ask him to play third. It's one of the, and then Sam Kennedy, the president, comes on Nesson a week ago, is like, well, the conversations are ongoing, and when the time is right, he'll play first base. It's like, well, wouldn't the time be right when the first baseman was out for the season? Like, what is when the time is right? What does that mean? And obviously, like I said, feelings had to have been hurt between Breslow and Devers, because that was a conversation where you have Devers publicly say, he won't even say his name. He's like, yeah, the GM said this, the GM said that. So it was a big mess. But when you talk to the guys that are in the clubhouse, none of them were like, yeah, man, we're out on Rafi. That was not the sentiment. They were like, Rafi's happy around us. We obviously love having him in the lineup. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. So to me, it reeks of feelings getting hurt from the front office down to the player side.
All right, so let me hit you with this from a baseball point of view here, Jared. And I'm trying to play devil's advocate here on this deal and kind of justify it for the Red Sox. They've given the keys to the 3 kids, right, to Meyer, Campbell, and Anthony. The last time they gave 3 keys to kids, it was Benintendi, Betts, and Jackie Bradley Jr., and we all thought it was going to be the next incarnation of Lynn, Rice, and Evans. And it didn't turn into that, right, because they weren't buying holds. It feels like they've made a commitment to these kids in the lineup. The missing link has been starting pitching, and they did get 2 big-time arms in exchange for Rafael Devers, and they saved a ton of money at the same time. So from a baseball standpoint, could angry Red Sox fans be talked into this maybe being a good deal long term?
So, Matty V, the comparison that I used for this, maybe you remember 2014 when the A's traded Cespedes for John Lester. Oh. And it's like, cool, we got an arm. That's exactly what we needed. And it's like, oh, wait, we traded our middle of the order bat. We kind of needed that. Can we have that one back? Yeah. So you can't just replace Rafael Devers. Mm-hmm. Can Roman Anthony become a middle of the order bat? Absolutely. I mean, he just hit a 497-foot grand slam the other day in AAA. But do they have that guy right now? No. I think it sends a horrific message to the guys that have been on this team from day one, that have battled, grinded, losing. I mean, for a long period of time, Trevor Story wasn't coming through. Casas out for the year. Bregman down for, hopefully it's not too much longer, but he's been down for a little bit. That was your 2, 3, 4, your 3, 4, 5, and then Rafi. It's like the whole middle of the order you've lost, and it's like, cool, you're getting back a couple of arms, and they've had this cluster in the outfield where they're trying to fit certain guys. How do you get Roman Anthony in the lineup? Who, between Duran and Rafael and Willier, how do you make those pieces fit? Well, now if you add 2 more arms, it's like, Walker Buehler's a guy, Giolito's a guy, Bello just shoved today. Like, where do you fit these guys in? So the only way that you could justify this trade, too, is not only if he asked out, but if you got major league ready guys that are ready to help you today push this thing forward. I don't know that they did that.
Gosh, it kind of makes you wish the Netflix crew was still in that clubhouse.
Oh,
right?
That'd be strong.
I mean, you want to
talk themselves.
Right? Had they only known. Jared, we appreciate the contributions, man. Thanks for the thoughts. It's intriguing, your perspective from the Red Sox side of this thing. Thanks for coming on with us at the 11th hour here. The trade of Rafael Devers to the Giants. How about this from JP Morosi? Oh, the irony. Red Sox in San Francisco for 3 games beginning on Friday. What a week in MLB indeed. And JP joins us. What a Father's Day, JP. This fell out of the sky. CY and I are getting ready to just go through the scores in the finals and love on some big performances on Sunday. And we hear that Rafael Devers is sent to the Giants. We've spent a lot of time talking about this from the Red Sox standpoint. Give us a little balance. Talk about it from the San Francisco view.
Well, Matt and CY, first of all, happy Father's Day to both of you and all the dads out there. And yes, we insiders love to say, oh, we saw this coming. This guy did not see it coming. I can assure you of this. This was a major surprise for a variety of reasons. But I tell you what, you look at the current leadership of the San Francisco Giants. Buster Posey, Zach Manassian, Randy Wynn, now the new player development director. The hierarchy of the Giants has a lot of older school baseball guys with either a long time in the game or a lot of dirt in their spikes. And this is a classic go-for-it kind of a trade. Devers for Harrison, Hicks, Bello, and Tibbs. This, of course, first reported by Robert Murray. This, to me, guys, I know Matt Chapman right now is on the injured list, but I believe this says that Devers will play first base, I believe, in San Francisco, which he was not doing in Boston, of course. Recall a couple weeks ago they moved on from Lamont Wade Jr. This is the need. At first base there, you just think about the energy when that ballpark is going, guys. He's got his fellow Dominican, Willie Adames, across the diamond. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch the Giants play, potentially some postseason baseball. But, guys, this is, to me, a really clever bit of front office work from the Giants to take advantage of a situation where a player that you would not normally have access to, all of a sudden you can get him now because probably he wasn't thrilled with the way things played out in spring training. It's a great job by the San Francisco Giants.
JP, I think that's a great point. And as you say that, it reminds me of where the Giants have come from trying to acquire that big power bat. You know, you say you was in the Aaron Judge sweepstakes. You say you were in the Ohtani sweepstakes at some point. You didn't have an opportunity to go and get that 30 home run guy. You haven't had a 30 home run guy in San Francisco since Barry Bonds. This is an opportunity on how you can go and get that 30 home run guy. How big do you think this changes the Giants' chances of winning the division?
Well, Chris, that's a great point. They were already quite good. Their rotation, for me, is one of the best in all of baseball. I think that, to me, has been the perhaps underreported story of the Giants this season. The pitching was already good enough. And importantly, and certainly a contrast to the Dodgers, quite healthy, you would have to say, for the Giants. They believe certainly Verlander will come back and have a big second half. Webb has been excellent, as he always is. Robbie Ray looks like the Cy Young version of Robbie Ray. And so when you look at a really good rotation, and certainly the bullpen, I think, has bounced back nicely, too, you've been missing that one piece, Chris, as you're describing it. Well, Devers can be that piece. They were already close to the Dodgers and Padres, even without having an impact bat. Now you add Devers in, you believe you have enough pitching otherwise to be able to cover the absence. And I think, Chris, the way you began framing that question, I think, was brilliant, because a lot of the free agents they pursued ultimately chose elsewhere for a variety of reasons. But they were having a hard time getting from the final four of a free agent conversation to closing the deal. Well, the beauty of a trade is, and we don't believe that in this case that Devers could have blocked a deal, and even then he probably would not have, because it's a chance to have a fresh start where he was frustrated in Boston. This is the kind of move that you make when you maybe can't get the big-time player in free agency. Bring him in a trade, and trust me, if you start winning, and if that ballpark is electric like it was for so many years that all three of us had a chance to go to postseason games there, believe me, players are going to want to play for the San Francisco Giants once again.
Couple questions for you, JP. We understand, and you know, the reporting is still pretty fresh on this, that the Giants bought the entire nickel. They're going to pay for the deal. There's no deferred money. There's no buying down the deal by the Red Sox. Second question is, tell us about the young guys that went to the Giants, or to the Red Sox, rather, as part of the return compensation.
Right. So first of all, to your point, Matt, that has been reported in multiple places that the Giants are taking on the entire contract. And while that sounds like a big ticket, and it is, it's a small percentage of, for example, what the Jays are going to play Vlad Jr. or what the Mets are paying Juan Soto. It's actually fairly reasonable by the standards of megastars. And Devers, after stumbling early when it just didn't seem like he was fully in great baseball shape to start the year, he got himself going again. And these are now Rafael Devers type numbers, even with the slow start. So James Tibbs, an outfielder, is one of the players going to the Red Sox, a first-round pick a year ago. Kind of a corner bat, off to a pretty good start there in terms of his minor league career. Then Jose Bello, who is a Class A relief pitcher. So Hicks and Harrison are the two guys that we know well. And from Boston's standpoint, certainly it will help address their rotation need, not just now, but also into the future, because Harrison is under control beyond the end of this year. But, gentlemen, this is a blockbuster deal in every way, and one that has a chance, I think, to reshape the entire landscape of this trade deadline, of these National League playoffs, and certainly this has the attention of their arch rivals in Los Angeles.
Oh, boy. The ramifications of this one are huge. I think we all need to go home, sleep on it, and then have a new fresh set of silly hot takes tomorrow, because this is such a huge story.